Good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Finck, and I am the Marketing Coordinator for Wonderware California. Thank you for attending our Learn in 30 webinar today focused on Dream Report. After the webinar this morning, we will be doing a short Q&A. Please type any questions or comments into the Q&A box, the chat box, or you can email us at webinar@california.wonderware.com. Now I'd like to introduce your presenter for today's webinar, Richard Kay. Richard is a Vice President at Ocean Data Systems and has extensive experience in implementing reporting and analytic solutions. Prior to joining Ocean Data Systems, Richard was a Senior System Consultant at a webinar distributor for 17 years. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, Annie. Thanks very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Dream Report today, and welcome everybody to today's Learn in 30. So this will be just a quick 5-minute PowerPoint, just a quick overview of Dream Report in case you have not seen or heard of Dream Report before, and then we'll really get into using the product, showing how to work with a Wonderware system historian, alarm logger, InTouch, and really just put together a nice little reporting application in the next 30 minutes. So we're pressed for time, so let's fly ahead. So what is Dream Report? Dream Report is reporting for industrial automation. It is designed around the systems that you guys probably work with on a daily basis. It is designed to work specifically with historians, with HMI, SCADA systems, PLCs, as well as non-process or automation systems such as Excel spreadsheets, CSV files, databases, etc. So really giving you a kind of a single reporting and analytic tool for all of your data sources in your plant. It's an easy-to-use product because it's not a programming tool, so it has a very quick learning curve to get up and running to develop your reports. And it scales very nicely from a single node, single data source solution to right across the board to a complete plant-wide reporting and dashboarding solution. So it really is your complete industrial intelligence solution. So what I mean by that is Dream Report has always been reporting, and we continue to be reporting, a leader in industrial reports. But in our latest release, the Dream Report 5.0 that was released a couple of weeks ago, we've now added as well interactive dashboards, so kind of a management dashboard view of things as opposed to the operations and control side of things, as well as exposing all the internal calculations and all the metrics and smarts inside of Dream Report. We've now exposed to external applications through Dream Report's OPC server. So now you're not only limited to using the data and the calculations inside of Dream Report, but you can have Dream Report do those calculations and analytics, and then feed that out to other systems, to HMIs, to other applications. So why use Dream Report? Well, first of all, it gives you connectivity to all of your data sources. This is not just a point solution for one product and you need another reporting tool for another product. It gives you access to your knowledge within minutes. I mean, literally installing the software, it's 10 minutes, and within probably 30, 40 minutes, you've got a basic report. Within a day, you've probably got a pretty good-looking report. And you've probably got lots of old data, from old InTouch log files to SQL databases, maybe proprietary data, to all your new stuff coming in. So it really lets you get into all this information and make sense of all this data and present it to people who need it. Very nice web portal to interact with the reports, delivering your reports to anyone at any time. Also used for manual data entry as well as live dashboards. Again, as mentioned earlier on, it's not a programming tool, so you can get up and running very quickly. It's a lot like building HMI screens. I mean, really, that's the closest analogy I could think of here. It's automated. Frees up people from doing what they were hired to do. Nobody was hired to enter data into spreadsheets or clipboards. So really automate this. You're collecting all the data in your historians and your other automation products. Let Dream Report grab that data directly, massage it, contextualize it, and then present it up to your users. And it's just a great way to maximize the ROI on your automation infrastructure. Everybody has data. You probably even have too much data. The question is, are you really getting the most out of that data? And Dream Report's the tool to help you do that. Very quickly, the way it works is you create a project in Dream Report. You connect your data source, either an existing data archive like your historian or a SQL database or an HMI log file, or you can connect to real-time data sources, say directly to InTouch or a PLC or any HMI for that matter. Then you can set up data logging if you want Dream Report to log the data, but most of the time you're probably going to have the data already logged and will be logging it into a product like Historian. Then once you've connected your data sources, then you spend all your time in Studio configuring and laying out your reports. Then you tell Dream Report, how do we want to generate those reports? Are they scheduled? Are they triggered by any real-time event? Are they generated on demand? What's the output format? Is it a PDF? Is it an interactive web page? So you make it an HTML5 output. Do we want it emailed, interacted with in a mobile device? It's very flexible in terms of the output format and the destinations. And then finally, with the new Dream Report 5.0, you can again expose all the information and metrics from inside of Dream Report to other applications, if not through reports, but just through an OPC, our OPC server. It gives you complete access to all of your data. Obviously, a lot of familiar and maybe not so familiar companies here. Without a doubt, our most extensive set of drivers are for the Wonderware products. We've been a long time endorsed partner product of Wonderware, and pretty much we take the guesswork out of figuring out how to make a reporting tool work with Wonderware. We have certified drivers for all the Wonderware products, from InTouch Edge HMI at the low end to System Platform and Historian on the high end. We have drivers for you, as well as the ability to do manual data entry. Get the data into your reports. If it's not electronically, do it through a manual interface, and then ultimately bring all your data together to give you this kind of overall view of your data. So data is just data. What you really want to do is contextualize it. So Dream Report has all these built-in statistical functions, all built around applications in industry, from energy reporting to up and down time and performance analysis reporting, energy calculations, alarm management. So really all of the things you'd want to do to make sense of that raw data that's being collected, we have the calculations to perform on that, and then the display objects to put it into a meaningful display. From what the users see, we have a great web portal that they can then log in. It's a secured web portal, so giving access to different users to different reports. You can review reports, dynamically generate or refresh dashboards, interact with the data on the dashboards, and do ad hoc reporting, and again, even our new dashboarding functionality. So it covers all users in a plant. So that's in a nutshell what Dream Report is. What we're going to do now is jump over to one of my virtual machine that's running Historian, it's running InTouch, it's what else? Wonderware Alarm Logger, and we will start reporting. All right, so I'm going to start off by firing up Dream Report Studio. This is our configuration environment. And normally I would start a application from scratch, but since we're limited with time, I have a basic project, demo reports project built up. And now the first thing you would do when you set up a project is you go into the communication driver wizard and set up your communications to your different data sources. Now I've already set up a few of them, but what we'll do now, let me just grab the IP address of my Historian. It's running on a different machine. I will come in here and say I want to make a connection to my Wonderware Historian as an example. So I go to the Wonderware folder, I choose my specific driver. We'll call this Historian, let's say underscore, I'm going to do 1 hour average retrieval. So you'll see over here, we can take advantage of all of Historian's advanced retrieval modes. So everything you see here is really specific to Wonderware Historian. So if I was connecting to a different product or a different Historian, might be some similar options, but these are all optimized, and really we've exposed as much as possible about the Wonderware Historian inside of Dream Report. So now I will set my retrieval mode. As an example here, I said this is going to be a 1 minute average. So that would, 1 hour average. So that would be 3,600 seconds, and Wonderware loves everything in milliseconds. So there we have 3,600 milliseconds, and that is our retrieval mode, and we would add it in. Or for instance, if I was connecting to InTouch, I could go to InTouch, www. All right, and then I could browse to my InTouch application wherever it resides, grab the tags. If it's on a remote machine, I can tell it the node name of where the application is running. And now I have all the tags and access to real-time tags in InTouch I could use maybe to trigger my reports or anything else I want to use in this project. I've also made a connection into my Wonderware Alarm Logger, so I'd like to do some alarm reporting. And then at the end of it, I have a bunch of different reports here. I have, a bunch of different data sources, Historian retrieval modes, different retrieval modes, a connection into the alarm logger as well as into InTouch. So what I'd like to do now is just give you a quick view of what the two finished reports are that we're going to work towards in this this little demo. So here we have, first of all, whoops, not that one. Let's see here. This would be, say, for a water authority report, a pumpage report. So we've got a bunch of discrete tags, our pump statuses that are being logged into our historian. I've got a bunch of flow meters logging raw flows, so we obviously need to integrate that so I can totalize those flows over some time period. I'd like to show hourly average tank levels in different parts of my facility. Maybe draw attention to if I'm above a high limit or a low limit in the tanks, and some basic statistics. So this is kind of the end game here for this water report. The other report we'll try and do today as well is a batch report. And so this is based on data coming out of the InTouch reactor demo that's running batches, and we will grab what's being run over the batch. We'll summarize some data, we'll put some charts, we'll show any alarms and events that have occurred, and hopefully in the next 20 minutes we can knock out these two reports. So that's the end game. Let's see what we can do with this now. So the first report I'm going to do here is in Studio. I'll give it a name, and I'll call it a daily pumpage report. I can tell it if this is a daily report, I'd like to schedule this thing to happen, let's say, every day at midnight. My format, is it going to be a PDF or a web page? Do I want it emailed or printed? So these are all options we can set up right here. For the name format, let's put in here the daily pumpage report and then include in there the date that it was generated for. So that'll be the file name. Now, instead of me adding all the little pieces for my header and footer, I'm just going to apply a layout template that I've pre-built. So that'll give me a nice consistent look and feel to all of my reports, a header and a footer. And now what we're going to do is put some objects on the report. So the first thing I'll do is put a step table. And a step table is a nice table used a lot actually in water, wastewater type reporting, where you need an overall time period to report over, say the last month, and you want to do a step interval by day. Or in this case, we're doing a daily report that we want to step by hour. So we'll tell it how many columns we're going to have in this table, over what time period. We'll say it's over a fixed period over the last 1 day. And my step interval will be by hours. So I want to have every row in that table to be 1 hour's worth of data with some calculations. So now under appearance, I can put in here, maybe I'll just put it very quickly, I'll put some labels here. Pump 1, pump 2, and then maybe station 1 total pumpage. Then we fill in the blanks. So you'll see me doing no programming, no SQL queries against my historian. It's all tag driven, tag browsing. So over here I want to show the start of that period. So we just want to show a time, and we just need hours and minutes. That's fine. Next column, we want to go and grab a tag. Let's say I'll pump 1. I'll now browse to my historian. So now choose my historian data source, my delta retrieval. I can go down to my reactor tags, and now this is browsing the Wonderware folder structure from historian. I'd like to get pump 1. What do I want to report over each hour period? The last value? No, I want to do pumpage, how much time we were actually pumping. So even though my historian's logging zeros and ones, I would like to get a running time and do that appearance in hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay. Likewise for the next one. Pump 2, I know my tag is called pump 2. I want the running time for that. And the last one, not station, but station. Let's do this one. So this will be a flow meter. So over here we'll say station 1 total. And I can now go and get this flow meter tag. Reactor tags. And what do I want to do over this time period? I would like to integrate the value. But since Dream Report needs to do integrals over per second, and I know I'm logging this flow rate in gallons per minute, I will need to apply a correction factor to that raw data. So divide by 60 seconds, so now the correct integral will be calculated. And that will be, let's say, as a total default calculation with 1 decimal. So that's really how you build up these reports. We could put a table like this, the header. We could put captions and titles. And for now, we won't make it look too pretty. We just want to show the approach to putting together the report. And let's say at the bottom I would like to put some text, a footer in here that says total, and for instance I want to get my total pumping time over the course of the day. So say total pump 1. I choose that column from pump 1 and I want to total. I want to sum up all of the run hours over the course of the day and show it in hours, minutes, and seconds, etc. Okay, so here's my first little table. The next thing I'd like to do is put a line chart on here, or a trend. And I'd like to get my level of one of my tanks. So in this case, but I don't want to show the raw data over the course of a day, I'd like to show 1 hour average tank level. So again, I can take advantage of my historian retrieval modes, grab a tag, and where was my analog tag? Was my react level. And I want to show that over the last day. And I build it up and build up my report from here. So if I were to run this report now, what I'm actually going to do then is, now it doesn't look like what I showed you earlier on, but if I generate this report, it's going out to the data from yesterday, it's crunching the numbers, and up comes my hourly run times, my total run time, my trend over the day yesterday. Now, I could come in here and instead of, I wanted to show the whole report, I've completed the report already. So I'm going to apply, and I saved it as a template. So this is a great way you can build reports, save them as templates, apply them to different applications, different projects. And so I'm going to get my daily pumpage report. And here it is with the exact same stuff. There's my step table with my hour and my pumps, and obviously just formatted a little nicer. I think I made a mistake on my average, so this should have been 3,600, 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so now that we have, that's our completed report. The next report I want to do is that batch report. So Dream Report allows you to define a batch. So I'm going to define my batch being from my Reactor 1 batch ID. This is running in my process in my HMI and the PLC. I can now browse to a tag in my historian that has my batch ID tag in it. So there's a tag called batch string. And I'll look back, say, the last 3 days for batches. Okay. Now that we've got that, I can now start building a new batch report. All right. And the key for the batch report is all objects you put on the report, whether it's a summary table. Let's do a summary, an automatic statistic table. I can go and summarize my tags that ran, maybe levels and temperatures and flows over the course of that batch. So now I can go to my reactor tags, for instance, get my levels, maybe a couple of flows. And now when I do my calculations, instead of doing it over the last day or week, I say it's batch-based, and do it over that last batch that ran, that reactor tag, that reactor batch ID. And then what calculations do I want to do? Show me the max, the min, the average, and the standard deviation, for instance, for these set of tags. Okay. Let's say we want to put also to show up top here what the batch ID was, when it started, when it ended, and how long it ran for, kind of a little header. So we can come in here, grab our batch tag again from historian, go up to our string tags, get the batch string, and we want to get, you'll see built-in functions all ready to go. I want to show the batch ID, the start time, the end time, the duration of that batch. And that'll be my header information. And again, I'm not spending too much time here on formatting. And then the last piece, let's put a little alarm table in here. I want to summarize any alarms and events that occurred during the running of this batch. So I have a filter for my Wonderware, my reactor alarms, over what duration, over the last batch. And I don't want to show all the information. I want to summarize it, let's say, by number of occurrences descending. So show me all the big hitters, which are the big alarms that occurred during the running of this specific batch. All right, so you build this up, and at the end of the day, you have a little report that you can generate. Again, I haven't done too much formatting here, but I'll apply a template in just a moment. And let's open that report. And here it is, the last batch that ran. Today it ended my time in Boston at 1:18. It was 5 minutes and 37 seconds, summarizing our data, any alarms and events that occurred. So let's just go ahead and apply our completed template to this report. So I have a batch report template. Pretty much, again, just what I did before, but it's more time spent formatting than anything. I mean, really, most of the time in Dream Report, you will spend more time formatting than you will actually figuring out how to get the data you want. It's that we make that part easy. It's up to you to make it look good. So again, looking at those tags over some time period, what time period, the last batch. Show me, so this would be a bar graph, for instance. I want to know what my tank levels were at the completion of the batch. Browse for tags from my historian. What value do I want to show for each bar? I'd like to show the last value recorded over the duration of that batch. There's my alarms at the bottom, and so we can run this. Now the last thing is, for this report, in addition to making it PDF, I would also like to make a web version of this. And with the web version, we can now interact with the report. So for instance, I could click on this chart, and so when I click on the chart, show me the raw data behind it. Or for this calculation over here, how long did I maintain temperature between 120 and 165? Well, that's a calculation, duration in the interval, but I'd like to look at the raw data behind that. So I just choose this option here, this raw data hyperlink. With that now, I can then click on that calculation dynamically. So in the PDF it wouldn't work, but on the web page I can click on that, get a pop-up, maybe save the data off to a CSV file, show me a quick pop-up trend. So you can really now take a report that's designed as a very static document and bring it to life in the web page. Or you could put a hyperlink that maybe if there's a high temperature or an excessive level, you want to click on that and then put a hyperlink to a detailed alarm report or any other report by doing a hyperlink from one report to another. So here's our, again, our batch report. One other thing, let's say we want to trigger it at the completion of a batch. So instead of scheduling it once a day, we can schedule it on an event. We can go out to our Wonderware InTouch driver. Every time the batch completes, every time there's a, let's say, a change of the batch string, every time the batch changes, or maybe I have a batch status. When the batch status completes, when that value goes to 0, after a delay of 5 seconds, trigger this report. So there's a way you would just automatically trigger this report. Okay. So let's reload the reports and take a look at those two completed reports now that we have the templates applied. So the first one will come up, and here is this last report again, same one, so -41. It ran over this time period today. This came out of InTouch. This came out of Historian, and Dream Report figured out how long it maintained temperature between 120 and 165 degrees during the running of this batch. How long the mixer was in a 1 state. Okay, our statistics. How many times each of our valves opened and closed during the running of this batch? What was my % concentrate when that batch started? So whatever value was set in InTouch, and whatever that value was when the report ran, we've grabbed that concentrate. Tank levels at the end of the batch. Nice little feature here in Dream Report 5.0 I'm showing here. You see these vertical lines. You can put markers on a report. In this case, or excuse me, on a chart, I'm showing every time there was a step change and what was the step number. So in addition to just the raw process data, I've said put a vertical marker every time there was a phase or a step ID change, and we can see how when each phase ran in that batch. And then again, here are my alarms that occurred during the running of the batch. Again, this is a PDF, so nothing is dynamic. I can't click on anything and expect anything to show up. But in a moment, we'll look at the web version of that. So speaking of which, let's just generate that one as well. The daily pumpage report. So this is crunching all that raw data from yesterday on my Historian, totalizing or integrating the flows. So here's for each hour, looking at the flow rates, but now I've integrated them to come up with my totals for the day, my pump run times, and then of course my charts. And I've said if I'm above 160 feet in that tank level, change the color to red if my average for the hour exceeded 160. Okay, let's build a website. Well, we don't have much time left in this Learn in 30 for today, but that's okay, because all it takes to build a website in Dream Report is this. Configure the website for this project. And within a few seconds, I built the website with all the defaults. If I'd wanted to change logos and colors and all the rest of it, we have those as settings, but I've just chosen this as the default. So now I will open the Dream Report browser or the web portal in a browser. So here's the two reports that I've created for my project. If I click on either one of these with the PDF icon, what it'll do is bring up the most recently generated copy of that report. And it came up instantly. It didn't have to rerun it. But what it's showing in the background is a history of all the reports that have run. And obviously I was testing this beforehand, so I have a bunch of other reports ready. This ran, when was that, on the 25th, on Monday. So you don't have to go and regenerate reports. Dream Report takes care of maintaining a history of your reports. You can tell it how long to keep them for, but it's just a nice feature that they're there immediately. Now let me click on the web version of this report. And what's going to come up is something which looks almost identical, but it's a web page now. This is true HTML5. There's hyperlinks here in here. So I maintained temperature for 1 minute and 11 seconds, but I want to know what that temperature was doing. So let's click on that. And here's all my raw data behind that calculation over the running of that batch. Show me a quick pop-up chart. Zoom in, zoom out, copy the raw data off to a CSV file. The mix time, show me all the times that when did the mixer stop and start during the running of that batch. Or for instance over here, for any tag on that chart, I'd like to get my level and temperature. Show me the raw data for those two tags. Okay. So you've started off with a nice finished static report, but I'm also using this now to drill in deeper to see exactly what was happening. Or on this alarm table, we put dynamic sorting. Maybe I want to sort by priority or number of occurrences. Okay, so all of these are available just by checkboxes in Studio. The daily pumpage report, this is the one that ran for yesterday. We ran it today. Now, you don't have to, this report was designed always to run for the last 1 day, but maybe somebody wants to say, how's my pumpage going so far today? So I could do what's called a dynamic report. Without redesigning this report, I simply choose this little option here, New Dynamic Report, and I could put my own time range in there, or say I would like to do fixed, do it for the current day. How are we doing so far today? And generate this report. And now when this report comes up, it'll take everything hopefully from midnight today up until the instant I ran this report, which it did. So it's the 29th. And this is how I've been running so far today for my pumpage. Now, of course, I could email this to somebody, save it off, or I could have it just stay automated. So that, in a nutshell, gives you, I think, a good idea of the approach to working with Dream Report. You connect your data sources, you lay out your reports, you browse for tags, you tell it what calculations, and most of the time, as I said, is making it look good. And then sharing the reports, generating them automatically, emailing them, saving them, printing them, or, of course, using the Dream Report web portal to have users actively interact with the reports, review old reports, etc. So I know that probably felt like drinking from a fire hose, but I think it probably gives you a good idea of what you can do with Dream Reports. So in the last couple of minutes, I would like to ask if there are any questions there. Annie, if you can read anything off for me, any that have come through, I would be happy to answer.
Of course, yes. We've had a few come in. The first one be, can Dream Report work with InTouch Edge?
Yes, I actually think I brought that up earlier on. It is works natively with Edge to get its real-time values, its alarm and event logs, and also from the SQL-based logging. So definitely a very nice solution for Edge applications.
Oh, wonderful. And is the web portal included with the Dream Report license, or is it an additional option?
Oh, right. So the web portal is actually included with every license. So you always get the web portal. It's actually licensed by concurrent web users or web clients. Okay, so every license you'll always get at least one web client. The bigger tag count licenses, we add additional web clients included. And then you can say buy a 5-pack or a 2-pack or a 10-pack, and that gets added to what's ever included. So everyone gets the web portal. You'll always get at least one web client to use with it, and then you can add on extras later on if needed.
Perfect. And we have one more. Can you have more than one person building reports on a Dream Report project?
Oh, yeah. So Dream Report, in its traditional sense, configuration environment is what I was just doing here. I open up Studio, start working with the project. Think of it like traditional InTouch. You fired up Window Maker, start building your reports, your InTouch screens. Dream Report, you fire up Studio, and you build your reports. But you can also configure Dream Report for remote development. And what this does is, again, being probably most of your Wonderware users, you're all familiar with Wonderware Orchestra or system platform, with the concept of a Galaxy repository and the IDE, the remote development nodes. We have a very similar concept in Dream Report where you can set up this project for remote development, and then you basically creates a central project repository, and then remote users can fire up Dream Report Studio on their machines, connect to this project, check out the project, so they're working with a local copy. They can lock reports while they're developing. They can check them back in when they're done. And then that's just licensed with remote development seats, just like you would with IDE seats in system platform. So a very similar analogy, and it works very nicely with multi-developer. And it preserves the project integrity because users can lock reports, they can lock modules, there's version control, so every time somebody makes a change, they can check it in with a comment, and later on you can see who did what. So it is a very well thought out multi-developer environment if you choose to use Dream Report in that mode.
Perfect. Thank you, Richard.
Sure.
I think that was our last one for now. So thank you, Richard, and thank you everyone who attended. If anyone would like to review any portion of this webinar, our recording will be available on YouTube and our website, california.wonderware.com, later this afternoon, and you'll be receiving a copy of it via email. Thank you again for attending, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.